Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Please pause for a minute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Johnson, do you have any agenda changes for
No, ma'am.
this? No motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Urquhart, second by Ms. Fine.
Yes.
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 Yes. Madam Chairman, I'd like to certify that personnel matters discussed in closed meeting this evening came from section 2.2-371121.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, second by
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion for Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve personnel action.
And consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, second by Ms. Price, to approve the consent. Ms. White.
Yes.
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 Yes. Voted. You ready to vote?
Good evening, everyone, or members of the board. So, thank you guys for giving us time to highlight our conference that we attended last week. It's called BCASE, if you guys can all see, the Virginia Council of Administrators of Special Education. I brought with me 2 of my team members. My other supervisor was not able to be here tonight because she is out trick-or-treating with her children. So I'm sorry, but otherwise she would have been here as well. So thank you for allowing us time to highlight this. This year's theme was Stronger Together and Bridging Systems, Building Success. So what is BCASE? It is a professional organization that supports special education leaders. They focus on collaboration, best practices, and advocacy for students with disabilities. However, this year's statewide conference looked a little different because we did have, we were in combination with not only special education leaders, but general education leaders came with VDOE and James Madison University. So we were all working together to strengthen collaboration between general education and special education systems. So I'm going to hand it over to, and I'm going to talk about why we attend.
So why did we think it was important for us to attend? You can see some things up there. But really for us, it was looking at aligning best practices for our school division that we're kind of in keeping with our partners across the state and across the nation, because we were hearing from national speakers as well as local and state leaders, which was really impactful for us. Our keynote speaker was very excellent on helping us focus on SDI, which is specially designed instruction, and what that looks like for our students. As well as identifying practices that we can mirror and implement here in our county, because it gave us a chance to talk to both big counties and small counties. That kind of gave us the idea, how do we apply those things here on our models and in our district for our students, as well as developing those steps of how do we get that chance to do that. It gave us a chance to also team build of the evening. So after we listened, we got a chance to debrief with each other and then say, how do we do that here? And how do we apply those principles here? So it was really impactful for us.
All right, so this year, in combination with BCASE, before we started the sessions, they combined our new Directors Academy. and it's specific to special education directors. So they're teaching me all the things as being a first year director that I need to know, such as state expectations, compliance, program management, also while building leadership and mentorship with other special education directors across the state of Virginia, which is nice because now I've got a lot of email addresses that I can get and phone numbers that I can call and be like, hey, what about this or that? So it's really nice to have that mentorship opportunity. This session was specific to early childhood special education as well as December 1 child count.
Okay, so the key conference themes that we took part in were based on specially designed instruction and just making sure that we are intentional with the instructional design so that our students with and without disabilities are able to access that instruction and improve those SOL scores at the end goal that we want them to learn the content. We learned about inclusive leadership and making sure that it's equitable for all of our learners. We talked a lot about IDEA and implementing that. And like the partnership between the central office staff and the building administrators and how we can tag team with them to get the best for our students. And then we did a lot of talking about legal trends and got some updates on like the compliance pieces that we need to make sure that we are all in compliance with across the division for our IEPs and things.
So being a team that went, it gave us a chance to attend a lot of sessions and highlight and debrief about a lot of things and come back with lots of resources. When you try to go as one lonely person, it's really hard to hear all these different things because I forgot how many breakout sessions. It was hundreds of breakout sessions that they offered. So we broke up and went to different sessions. These are some of the highlights of the many things that we attended. We won't bore you with all of them, but some of the ones that we looked at was leading with intention and looking at SDI, that specially designed instruction. That's a really big push right now from the state. So we were really intentional on attending those sessions specifically so that we're up to par with what the state's asking districts to do. And so you can also see that we attended the aligning SDI and transition. The state's got a big emphasis on transition now, not just at our high schools, but also starting for us to look at K-12 transition. So we were intentional in attending those sessions as well. And the last one, some of the new state initiatives with inclusive preschool programming. We were also very keen on getting into those sections. And there's a few others that Tammy will share.
So we did a lot with the special education discipline with leadership and just, again, focusing on those relationships between the central office staff and our building administrators so that it's a collaborative partnership. There was a session on adaptive PE that talked about inclusive practices when you're in like your adaptive PE in your physical education classroom and how we can make sure everyone is able to participate. And then just some other proactive tips that we can find for preventing litigation in special education. So it was very beneficial.
All right, so takeaways and next steps. So we want to strengthen collaboration, continue to do that between central office staff and our building leadership so that we can work best for our students with disabilities and honestly all students. We also want to reflect on our current practices. While we were away, I think we can all say that we were able to identify the strengths that we have and some of the areas we might want to work on and make a little better. We know that we need to implement high leverage practices and embed that in our specially designed instruction and our literacy as well as our behavior supports. And lastly, leverage the V-Case learning opportunities that we have so that we can continue to build leadership capacity and better outcomes for all students. So any questions? I will say the adaptive physical education spotlight that came in, that was one of the sessions that I went to, was amazing to see. And it gave me a different mindset on how I would love to see adaptive special education look in the future. It was a reverse inclusive model, and it was beautiful. Like all these kids, so many kids were involved. So I love that. And I would love for you guys to be able to see what that looks like. If I ever get a video, I'll send it out.
Sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Any questions?
Thank you.
You're good? All right. Thank you.
Yes. Chairman, board members, I'm happy to share a bit of information about the Virginia Principal Support Program. When Brandy was talking about the combination at the conference of special education leaders and personnel, along with regular ed, general ed staff, principals, and leaders,
this was one of the groups that was there. So we had a group of principals. This is a group of both. Mostly the focus is on early career principals, so principals in their first 3 years of in the job, as well as some other more experienced principals who I'll talk about their roles. One thing I want to say from the very beginning is that this program is free. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes about how that can happen, but it's free. It is a program I've actually had the opportunity to work with the program. This is my 5th year working with it. I do some work with JMU and have partnered with them, and I'm part of a kind of a leadership team that works and leads this program. So I think Paige had participated last year as well, but we wanted to be sure that they were a part of this. So the program intent is to support, again, early career principals. In Paige, we actually have 3 who would fall into that category. Kim Cherry and Tara Meadows, who are participating because she was on maternity leave. Jennifer Hitt, thank you, was not able to participate in this program. Also, the program is designed, again, which I'll go into a little more detail, to have we pair each principal, early career principal, with an advisor who is an experienced principal, and Nikki Clark is serving as one of our advisors, right? So she was also at the conference, which was, again, in Williamsburg, a part of the B case and free. Let me say that again. Okay. So here is a quote from the Wallace Foundation, which is a research group that looks at education, and they emphasized and highlighted the importance of a principal. And it is, I think, clear and obvious that the most important person who has the greatest impact in a child's education is the teacher, right? So when you have a teacher, they're going to have the greatest impact of kids in their class. But the person in the building that has the greatest impact on all students in a school is the principal, right? And I know all 3 of us have done it. It is a hard job. It is a very challenging job. And it is something that is going to take some time to get used to and to adapt to. And this program is a way of trying to help principals as they work through that journey. The quote here says, "Principals really matter, obviously. Indeed, it is difficult to envision an investment with a higher ceiling on its potential return than a successful effort to improve principal leadership." So this program is very specific. It is customized around the needs of the principal, and that's partly with the relationship we have with this advisor who serves sort of as a mentor to them over the course of the year to be able to provide support to them as they go through their first year. Okay, next slide. So the program, why? Again, the evidence just shows that early career principals are in need of that support, right? So that's clear. It's a customized principal-centered program offering a non-evaluative supported professional learning. So there's 5 different sessions that they'll be going to, and there's a different topic of professional development that's there. They're actually learning alongside the principal advisor at those. So they go, it's not just early career principals there, it's principal and their advisor. They're hearing the same thing. They have a chance to discuss and relate and interact around those topics, right? And there's a strong state, university, and school division partnership that puts this together. And that's the funding is actually coming both from the federal and the state to be able to make this work. Okay, next. So this is actually open to any school division in the state. It is crazy that not all of them take advantage of it, right? So this is, again, a free program. It is, if I do say so myself, high quality, that it provides some really good support to these principals, not only again the training, but the support they get from their advisors is really important. So you can see here from across the state, we have, I think, almost 20 or so school divisions that are participating. Okay, next slide. here's the funding. So BDOE, the College of Education at JMU and Virginia School, Public Schools. So BDOE is where that money is coming from. It's actually funneling through some special ed money. That's why we have combined it with BCASE, right? So while we're going to this this conference, so the way that the actual operation of the conference last week was, we went as the Virginia Principal Support Program. We actually met in a part of the hotel conference center. We had our sessions, but then during part of that time, we sent all the participants into BCASE to go attend those sessions. So we had some sessions that were customized for them, leadership development, but then they had the opportunity to go and attend the keynote sessions and to see to some of the breakout sessions that were going on, right? So it was a kind of a hybrid system that we were operating, but we had kind of our own area we were working with. Here's, that's the graphic illustration of the program. Really, there's these kind of 6 areas that are being focused on in the program: school vision, effective communication, people development, organizational systems, instruction, and inclusion. Move to the next slide. So here you can see sort of as a roadmap. So we started back in September. We had an orientation with all participating schools and anyone who's in the program, both advisors and early career principals. And then there's also a principal supervisor. So whoever oversees principals in that division also attends or has information so they know what's going on with that. So that was done in September. There is, as I said, there's an advisor that is matched up with each early career principal. They have each month they need to have at least a minimum of 4 hours of contact outside of the program, which we translate to essentially 1 hour a week, where they're on the phone, they're doing a virtual session, or they go visit the school. There's a log they have to keep for that from accountability as they work through that. There's the 4 professional development events. There's formative assessments and growth, so we're checking in to see how they are progressing as they work through that. There is a 2-day summer PD wrap up in July, so everyone will come back together to JMU in July for kind of a graduation from the program. And then we do program evaluation. We actually have outside researchers come in to gather information to determine whether or not how effective it was, where are the areas that it could have improved. So we're gathering that and having a third party do that evaluation to ensure that we're not cooking the books, so to speak. Right. Okay. Here are some of the topics that are covered in those sessions. So strength-based leadership, legal and ethical special education leadership, leading instruction, continuous school improvement, crucial conversations, and communication and media relations. That last one, communication media relations, is a very interesting one. We actually have a person come who talks about how do you present and promote your school through social media and through these other areas. But one of the most interesting things that she does is she actually brings a television crew there, okay? And there are scenarios that the principals have to, like they say, here's the scenario, and now you're on camera. So how do you practice actually speaking in front of the media? So there's an actual reporter who's asking questions, and they have to practice. And again, it's in a safe environment, and it's nerve-wracking, but it's also a good learning experience for them.
It's a great experience.
They have a chance to do that without actually having. So that's one of the things we make sure that we have every year to give them that opportunity. So again, mentioned here, could have put this earlier on. So there is this match between the early career principal and principal advisor. And those relationships have been, I said this is our 5th year doing it. Sometimes that can be, they get along fine. It's a helpful professional relationship. But we've had some of these that have really stood the test of time, that these folks have stayed really close, have connected, continue to work together, continue to network together. It's been, and honestly, when we get feedback from each of the participants, what we find is the principal advisors say, I got just as much out of that as the principal did, right? So they're sharing things back and forth. just because you're a first-year principal doesn't mean you don't have some great ideas. And sometimes you could be doing this for 10 years and you're like, I'm glad to hear that's a good idea of something I hadn't thought about, right? I've been doing it the same way for 9 years, right? Anyway, it's a good relationship with it. So again, summary, supporting new principals is vital. The partners include the DOE, JMU, school divisions. It's grant funded, and high quality professional development on key topics and new principles are matched with the advisor. Happy to answer any questions.
How do they match the advisors with principals?
So,
And how do they select the advisors?
yeah, so that's a good question. So what we ask is for school divisions, so that principal supervisor, we ask them, do you want to match your early career principals with a person in your division or outside of your division?
Okay.
Okay. So some school divisions are like, we want to have that be inside the division. So Nikki Clark is the advisor to Tara Meadows, right? So that naturally kind of happened. That was a bit unusual because Nikki works with her and it is actually operates as the principal supervisor, but we felt like that was the best match in that situation. With Kim Cherry, she's matched up with the principal at River Bend Elementary School in Rockingham, right? So we ask the principal supervisors what would they prefer and what the availability is. If they have principals in their division who they feel like would be good matches as an advisor, then they would nominate those folks. If they don't have someone or would like to have someone outside, then we work through that. Something I did fail to mention, and actually how I got associated with the program, the advisors receive specific training on how to do that job. Okay, so I have a background and I do work as a practicing leadership coach. So the training that I do is sort of giving a watered down version of what does it mean to be a coach to somebody, right? How do you operate in that capacity? So one of the days that we were there was actually just with me with the principal advisors, and we were kind of talking through how do you have a high quality relationship? How do you work with a new career principal without just giving them all the answers, right? The point isn't just to tell them what to do, right? How do you get them to come to some of their own conclusions and kind of drawing that out to curiosity? So it's customized to what the school division needs.
Thank
And it's free. Did I say that?
you. Free time. I like that. I think we.
principals that are involved and the advisor, so that's just all voluntary. If they do that, they collaborate or.
So yes, so they agree to be a part of it. I mean, no one has to do this against their will typically. Now, I can't say that a principal supervisor hasn't gone to an early career principal and said, here's an opportunity for you, right? There is compensation to the principal advisor, right? So through the grant, they do receive a nominal stipend for their time.
What a phenomenal service. I think back in the dark ages
Mm-hmm.
with principals. Now everything else, how times have changed, and responsibilities, not just for the learning, but the behavior, the connection. What a great opportunity. Right?
Mhm.
In one step.
Yeah, it is a very good program. It is. We are thrilled for it. We hope, like everything, we're dependent on funding. So we've been able to be fortunate to receive funding every year, but these things change, right? So you never know whether that will continue or not. But as long as it is in place, we hope to be able to offer it to those early career principals.
Does this last throughout the school year? Or?
Yep. So there'll be, we had the one in October. We have in December. There'll be the next one, I think 8th and 9th and 10th, somewhere around there. That's at JMU. The rest of them, this one was at Williamsburg because of the V case.
Gotcha.
Most of them will be at JMU. So our folks don't need to travel necessarily. They're just there and they're usually for 1 or 2 days under there. And I think maybe February and April and then summertime. Yep.
Yes, thank you, school board members. I have placed before you claims certification, and I wanted to point out here that our operating fund was $521,153.21, with Fund 5 food service, $14,650.61, and total expenditures are $535,803.82. And with this, you have been provided with the list of claims and check register. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I'll make a motion that we accept the claims for payment as presented.
Second.
Yes.
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 Yes, thank you again, board members. We do have three purchase orders over $10,000 for your consideration this evening. The first one is Valley Doors Unlimited to replace 2 fire doors under operation and maintenance for $11,598.69. The second one being Riddleberger. This is a large repair, a chiller repair for both Luray High School and Page County High Schools with $106,336 for that purchase order. And then we have a third one for radios and supplies for mounting and operation from transportation, and this is an $18,280 purchase order.
I guess the question, Dr. Johnson, is that we replaced the 2 fire doors. Where are they at? It's going to be replaced.
They're in Shenandoah.
Okay.
The fire marshal did his walkthroughs over the last couple of weeks, and those two, the fire marshal specifically requested Mr. Williams have that done.
Okay. So did the fire marshal go through all of our
Yeah,
buildings?
he does. He does a periodic walkthrough. Spends about a week, and Timmy's with him every step of the way, and they do all the buildings.
And these are the only 2 that he said really need to be done.
That's right.
Okay.
In regard to the chiller, what's the age on those units? We know?
Yeah, they're both originals, so the schools are 15 years. I met with Mr. Dykes on this and Mr. Williams, and these 2 chillers, there's concern that if we don't do this work, if they actually go, these are parts, if they actually don't do that, the cost could end up being in excess of $500,000. So
we'd have to replace it.
It's aging equipment, 15-year-old equipment.
And the last on the list, I mean, are those new things upgraded or stuff we just
So
don't have?
those are, as we've gotten now new vehicles, we need radios in them. And so that's big cost saving because Mr. Turner does all that out of the bus garage. So it's your mounting, it's your cables, it's your radios itself.
And that's for the new vehicles.
Yes, ma'am.
Where do they communicate to? Where's the base
It's
station?
a great question. So I tested them. I actually had a meeting in Winchester yesterday. I take the bus radio, the handheld, home with me every evening and listen to it through the evening till it settles down, and I turn it on early in the morning. So I had an early morning appointment going to Winchester, and so I thought, I've got it in my truck. I'm going to have it on. Let's see what the range is. I was the north side of Winchester, clear as could be.
Wow.
They go all the way through Augusta County. And so these are in our cars, they're in our buses. We have base stations in every school and here, and then admin here and at the schools all have handhelds that can be taken with them.
Okay.
They're phenomenal, yeah. And this was part of the county initiative several years ago now. So we could flip a channel and get right to the 911 call center. Yeah.
Good.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the POs for 10,000 as presented.
Second.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes, thank you. I have before you a 2026-03 resolution for the Page County Board of Supervisors requesting adjustment of the 25-26 budget for additional revenue that we are receiving and an allocation of funds for the heavy-duty truck. So I would like to read this into record. Whereas Page County Public Schools was awarded a state literacy grant from the Commonwealth of Virginia to support literacy initiatives at identified schools totaling $44,000 for fiscal year 2025. And whereas the remaining balance of state literacy grant funds available for fiscal year 2026 is $10,818.60. And whereas Page County Public Schools requests that the Page County Board of Supervisors appropriate the remaining $10,818.60 in state literacy grant funds for fiscal year 2026. And whereas Page County Public Schools was awarded $26,143 in state funds from the School Security Equipment Grant Program for fiscal year 2026 to enhance school safety and security measures, and received a $23,607 reimbursement for fiscal year 2025 school security equipment grant. And whereas Page County Public Schools request that Page County Board of Supervisors appropriate a total of $49,750 in state funds to the fiscal year 2026 school budget for school safety and security improvements. And whereas the Page County Board of Supervisors has allocated $77,972 for the purchase of a heavy-duty maintenance truck to support school division maintenance operations and snow removal needs. And whereas these funds were not included in the fiscal year 25-26 adopted school budget and therefore must be appropriated to allow expenditure for their intended purposes. Now therefore be it resolved that the Page County School Board respectfully requests that the Page County Board of Supervisors appropriate the following funds to Page County Public Schools budget for fiscal year 25-26. $10,818.60 of state literacy grant funds with no increase to local appropriations, $49,750 state school security equipment grant funds with no increase to local appropriations, and $77,972 local funds for heavy-duty maintenance truck, which would increase local appropriation.
I make a motion that we approve the resolutions for budget amendments.
In the budget for,
Yes,
They already.
They would-
did their-
they approved it at their last meeting to appropriate this money.
The 77,000.
$77,970.
And the other funds are already, those are grants.
Right, they're great.
No impact on our budget per se,
No,
or their budget. So it'd be revenue for us. Well, yeah, once we get it.
They approved that.
they-
I'll second.
was this the conversation that the Board of Supervisors had about the budget? Those things just pertain to that?
we did have a conversation about the budget, yes.
And they approved it anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. What was their feeling? Was there any comments from the supervisor? I didn't watch the meeting.
Well, obviously, they were concerned, but we shared, Dr. Huber and I, much like I shared with you earlier, what we were going to do, moving forward. And they were understanding that we're having a fresh start here, and we were going to be very communicative with them. In fact, I've been in a lot of conversations with the county already and about the budget and how we're going to move forward with our planning our FY27 budget. And I do believe that we can work together. So, of course, they were concerned, but I thought overall it was positive.
Yeah, I mean, since it was an open meeting, some of those
Yes.
things of how we were going to work with it. Could you share some of that with us, how we're approaching it right now?
How we're approaching where we are now and
Yes.
then moving forward?
Yes, that was shared in the meeting.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So what we are doing with our FY26 budget now is we have asked for schools and departments to limit their spending to 50% of their budget and to be wrapping that up about now, the end of October, so that we can take a look at where we're at. That is not an unusual thing to do. That was not an unusual thing when I was in another division. We always want to be conservative at the beginning and then kind of see where we're at. However, knowing that we may need to revisit what we have budgeted in FY26 if we feel like we're going to be in a shortfall, it's very likely that we may not be able to release the remaining funds. Additionally, we'll be taking a look at revenues, seeing what revenues we have, where we're at, projecting that out, and seeing if there are any other areas that we can save. Without taking a deeper dive, I don't know that right now, but that's certainly what I'm going to be looking into in this next week.
Yeah. And then we use grant money for this two-thirds or a third of it or whatever. I don't know what the figures are, but we use grant funds for that, right?
With which?
Yeah, this particular resolution has 2 grant funds
Yes.
and
Yes.
one local fund.
Yeah.
Right, and part of this grant, so the reason I wrote it the way we did is which one was it? It was the school security equipment grant is a reimbursement grant, so we have to submit for that reimbursement. We actually received part of it this year, so I'm writing that in, including that into our budget, and then we received a new grant for the state school security.
And if I can weigh in on that, that is the state, we every year do a request for the school security monies, and we always ask on behalf of all of our schools. But what they always do is they come back and award you per a couple of schools. So they tend to rotate it. Last year might have been 3,
Right.
this year, and then we cannot spend it on any but those designated schools.
Okay.
And for the equipment that we put in the request.
Okay.
And the state literacy grant is just carried over what we had remaining.
Just how does that grant process work? I mean, is that grant money when you get it, it's awarded to your division? Does it go to our county administration and our books? It sits
So,
there until we're ready to release it?
right, a lot of them we spend first and apply for the reimbursement for that. Yes.
And so sometimes I think where it's confusing is the fiscal year ends
Mm-hmm.
and you apply for the reimbursement and then reimbursement until the next fiscal.
Mm-hmm.
Now we put in the read in the resolution,
Resolution, yep.
put in for this year's budget,
Yep.
but it's technically last.
Yep, I got you. Okay. That's all the questions I've got.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. At the last meeting, we had 9 policies that we brought forward as informational items, and most of those were just due to minor wording revisions and consolidation of a couple policies. Are there any questions?
So I'll make a motion, we approve the VSBA policy updates as presented at last meeting.
Second.
Yes.
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 Well, I'll go. I think got to recognize some of our sports teams. Page County High School cheerleaders going to state. Let me know if I'm missing something. And our Page County High School cross country doing boys, and our Luray High School girls cross country doing well. What else did I miss? Luray High School boys, so congratulations on them. Went to Page County Middle School. Today, the mentorship, that's going strong. Glad to see that. And all the kids are kind of a relief that they're benchmark testing stuff. So kudos to the teachers.
A lot of good things going on, and again, it goes back to all of you, both in this office and maybe school, putting forth the effort and time and how important that is. Keep up the good work. Well, You're off election, right? Students are,
Students are.
staff.
Schools are closed for voting.
I don't even know. Enjoy your weekend and, tomorrow night, Halloween. Should be interesting, but a lot of community activities going on for the kids to come to. Already the trunk and treats programs with the schools, churches, towns, whatever, that's great. But when you look about the whole thing, what a great community. Thanks for all of you all for contributing and make those things.
I was pleased to hear about the BCAS professional development program. That sounds like it's very beneficial, and the principal support program. I find that to be fascinating. And, Nikki, thank you for stepping up. But you're sitting back there all quiet, but thanks for stepping up and being one of the mentors, because I know that you're providing a lot of good guidance and assistance to those new principals. And we definitely need that to grow our staff and make them even stronger. And the only other thing I would say is I look forward to our more in-depth budget discussions. Sooner the better.
Thank you, guys. Ms. Hilliard, thank you for presenting, and I'm excited to see the implementation of what you guys have brought together as a team and put that into the classroom. And of course, Ms. Clark for time for the mentorship. That, people's plates are full. And so when you take on one more task, it is noticed and it is appreciated. So thank you for that. Same with the three of you all. And keep moving in the right direction and looking forward to some more information. Guys, enjoy your longer weekend.
Got to keep rowing, right?
Thank you all. All these things are great, and it's wonderful that we are taking advantage of free opportunities. So they are, it's good to take advantage of everything, especially the learning. It's the season to be sick. Everybody's catching everything. So hopefully these 4 days help at least the kids in school.
Drink orange juice.
Have a happy Halloween. Enjoy everybody.
I make the motion to adjourn.
The motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.